The sky of Zorthar turned red as fire rained down from the dark sky. The capital city shook as explosions hit one after another. Screams filled the air. Buildings fell. The streets were full of smoke, blood, and the cries of people running from death. The Zorthari, a peaceful alien race known for their art and science, were facing something they had never seen before: complete destruction. The Varnak swarm had arrived without warning, like a wave of shadows. Giant insect-like ships flew through the clouds, burning everything in their path. No one knew where they came from or what they wanted. They didn't talk. They didn't stop. They only destroyed. In less than 3 days, half the planet was already gone. The Zorthari tried everything. Their defense shields failed. Their energy cannons were useless. Their fleet had been wiped out in space within minutes. No one came to help. The Galactic Council, a group of powerful alien empires, ignored their calls. "We are sorry," the Council said coldly, "but we cannot risk more lives. The Varnak are too dangerous." Some Council members didn't even respond. The Zorthari were alone. In a secret bunker deep underground, the Zorthari High Council gathered. Their faces showed fear, pain, and exhaustion. The ground above them shook with every blast. Council leader Mael took a deep breath and looked around the room. "We are finished," he said quietly. "We have only one choice left." The others looked at him with wide eyes. They already knew what he meant. Elder Saron, the oldest among them, spoke slowly. "No, we cannot. The Council has forbidden it. That world is cursed." Mael shook his head. "If we do nothing, we die today. That world may be dangerous, but they are the only ones who can fight like this. You've seen the old records. You know what they did before they vanished. They were monsters. But they were monsters who could win wars." Silence filled the room. They all knew the name of that world: Earth. A planet marked as a death world. A place so dangerous, so violent, that the Council had banned all contact with it. The beings who lived there, humans, were once feared across the stars. Hundreds of years ago, they had fought in a war so brutal, so bloody, that entire star systems burned. And then they disappeared. No signals, no trade, no ships, nothing. Some believed they destroyed themselves, others believed they were hiding. But everyone agreed on one thing: never wake the Deathworlders. But now, with their people dying, the Zorthari were ready to do the unthinkable. A young scientist named Kira stepped forward. She was trembling, but her voice was steady. "I can boost the old signal array. The message will reach Earth in 10 seconds. Elder Saren turned to her. "And what if they answer?" She looked at him and said only one word: "Hope." Mael gave the final order: "Send it." Kira's hands moved over the controls. Old technology, long forbidden, came to life. Dust lifted from the machines. A glowing sphere in the center of the room pulsed with power. The room fell silent as Kira spoke into the mic. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed fear. "This is a message from the Zorthari people. We request help. We are under attack. If anyone from Earth still lives, please, help us." The signal was sent into deep space, far beyond Council space, toward the forgotten sector where Earth once was. For several minutes, nothing happened. The Council waited, hearts pounding. Then, suddenly, a soft beep echoed from the console. A light turned green. A message had been received. One word appeared on the screen, glowing in cold white letters: "Received." Everyone stared at the word. It was real. Earth was listening. No one spoke. No one moved. The air felt heavy. A moment later, the console lit up again. A second message appeared: "Assistance confirmed. Arrival in 72 hours. Kira's eyes widened. "They're coming," she whispered. But Elder Saren looked afraid. "We do not know what they will bring. This may not be salvation. This may be the end." Outside, the explosions continued. Above, the Varnak ships circled like vultures, closing in for the final strike. But now, something was different. Now, Earth was awake. Far away, in the dark corner of the galaxy, on a world long forgotten, machines stirred. Deep under Earth's surface, giant bunkers opened. Black ships, silent and sharp like blades, lifted into the sky. Humans in armored suits stood ready. Their eyes were cold. Their voices were few. The signal had been clear. Someone had asked for help, and humanity never ignored a cry for help. Not anymore. But their help came with a cost, a deadly cost. For Earth was not just a world, it was a warning, and the Deathworlders were not heroes. They were the last thing you called before everything burned. For many years, Earth was silent. No signals, no ships, no messages. The Galactic Council believed that the Death World had finally destroyed itself. Some celebrated. Others stayed silent, thankful that the most dangerous species in the galaxy, humans, were gone. But Earth was not dead. It was sleeping, watching, preparing. Deep under the surface, in places no alien ever reached. Machines kept working. Satellites stayed dark, waiting for the right signal. And when the Zorthari message came, everything changed. Alarms echoed through old bunkers. Systems that had been quiet for 200 years powered on. Satellites lit up in orbit. Massive, black ships rose from the ice, the oceans, and the mountains. And humans, those who had trained in secret all their lives, got ready to move. Earth was awake again. In the control room of Earth's main defense command, Commander Reyes stood tall. He wore a black armored suit with no flag, no name, no rank. Only a red mark across the chest, a warning to all who saw it. He looked at the message on the main screen. The words were simple. Zorthari homeworld under attack. Request assistance. His second-in-command, Captain Mira, stepped forward. "Sir, are we really doing this? They told us to stay silent, that the galaxy wasn't ready." Reyes didn't look at her. He stared at the glowing map of the stars, at the small blue dot blinking red, Zorthar. "We didn't wake ourselves," he said coldly. "They called. Now we answer." He turned to the crew. "Prepare the fleet, full force." Mira hesitated. "What do we tell them?" Reyes' face was hard. "Nothing. They don't need words. They'll understand when we arrive." Back on Zorthar, the High Council tried to remain calm. But the people were scared. News of the signal had spread. Many believed help was coming. Others were terrified. Stories of humans had always been, told as warnings to children. "Do your homework or the humans will get you. Don't lie or Earth will hear." Now, the monsters from those stories were real. A massive Zorthari ship picked up movement near the edge of their system. Fast, silent, and coming straight for them. No flags, no greetings, just dozens of sharp black ships moving like sharks through space. The Zorthari military tried to hail them. No response, not a single word. Elder Saren watched the screen with shaking hands. "They're not here to talk," he whispered. "They're here to fight." The ships reached Zorthar orbit and stopped. Not a single weapon was fired. Not yet. Then a message appeared on the Zorthari main defense screen. One word. Observing. For the next hour, the human ships stayed still, scanning everything. Planet surface, Varnak troop movement, power sources, shield weaknesses, population zones. Their computers moved faster than anything the Zorthari had seen. Then, without warning, the human fleet split into 3 groups. One group stayed in orbit. The second flew to the dark side of the planet. The third dropped into the fire. Black drop ships fell from the sky, screaming through clouds and smoke. They didn't land gently. They crashed into war zones like hammers. Out of the ships came humans, not tall, not bulky, but fast. Each wore armor that moved like skin. Their weapons glowed cold blue. They didn't speak. They didn't shout. They simply moved and killed. The first Varnak nest was destroyed in 32 seconds. Zorthari soldiers nearby couldn't believe it. The swarm that had wiped out 3 cities was torn apart by a single human unit. The humans didn't celebrate. They didn't stop. They moved to the next target and the next. Every strike was perfect. Every move was planned. To the Zorthari, it looked like magic. But to the humans, it was just another day. Commander Reyes watched the operation from orbit. "They're slower than expected," he said flatly. Mira raised an eyebrow. "Sir, they cleared 3 nests in 10 minutes. He didn't smile. "We've been out of practice." Some Zorthari generals begged for communication. They wanted to thank the humans, to speak, to offer anything. But no reply came. The humans didn't talk. They didn't explain. They didn't need thanks. They came, they fought, and they moved on. A young Zorthari soldier saw one of them up close. The human had just saved his squad from a swarm of Varnak. He tried to speak, but the human only looked at him with tired eyes and said one sentence: "Stay out of the way." Then he was gone. That night, the people of Zorthar looked to the sky. They saw the black ships circling above. For the first time in days, the Varnak ships were falling back. Fires were still burning, but now hope had returned, and fear, because the saviors they called were not angels. They were not heroes. They were Deathworlders, built for war, raised in fire. And now, the galaxy would remember what Earth truly was. Not dead, not gone, just waiting. The black ships did not shine in the light. They were shaped like blades, smooth and deadly, flying without sound above the burning skies of Zorthar. No colors, no flags, no messages. Just cold, silent machines of war. The people on the ground looked up and felt something strange. It was not hope. It was not fear. It was both. These were not the warm heroes from Zorthari stories. These were something else. The ships moved like they were alive, changing position without effort, responding to unseen orders. No other species in the galaxy had machines like this. These were Earth's, and they had returned. In the war room beneath Zorthar's last standing city, the Council watched as dozens of human warships surrounded the planet. One of the generals whispered, "They're not even trying to hide. They're letting us see." Elder Saren's voice was heavy. "They want us to know they're here, not for us, for the enemy." The humans did not land all at once. They chose specific places, hot zones filled with Varnak. They dropped in teams of 5 or 10. Each team wiped out entire nests. But they didn't celebrate. They didn't talk to the Zorthari. They didn't explain. When Zorthari drones tried to fly close to their ships, they were shut down instantly. Not destroyed, just turned off. A warning. One Zorthari captain tried to hail them with an offer of support. The reply was just one message: "Stand down. Let us work." That was the only thing they said. No names, no commanders, no plans shared. And still, every move was perfect. The Zorthari army, confused but amazed, followed from a distance. They saw human soldiers moving through fire like it was nothing. Their black armor was different, flexible like fabric, but strong enough to stop plasma shots. They never removed their helmets. Their faces remained hidden. Their voices came only when needed. Cold, short, and exact. "Clear! Next! Hold! Drop! Burn!" These were not soldiers like the Zorthari had known. These were ghosts in armor. One soldier, nicknamed the Tall One by a Zorthari unit, destroyed a Varnak war beast 3 times his size using only a blade and a small energy shield. When the Zorthari commander tried to speak to him, the soldier just stared at him for 2 seconds, then walked away without a word. Another human unit carried injured Zorthari to safety, but left before they could say thanks. They came from a death world. And their kindness, if it existed, came with no warmth, only duty. In orbit, Commander Reyes watched every move. The ship's command center was cold and dark, built for focus, not comfort. Maps of the planet updated in real time. Varnak activity dropping fast. Human losses, none. Captain Mira stood beside him, quiet. "They're retreating," she said. Reyes nodded. "They always run once they feel fear. But they will regroup." Mira frowned. "Should we contact the Zorthari Council?" Reyes didn't even turn his head. "No need. We are not here for politics." The humans had not come to make friends. They had come to kill the swarm. That was all. Far away on the Varnak command ship, panic was growing. The Queen, a massive creature of muscle and mind, screamed in fury. She had eaten over 100 worlds. No one had ever stopped her. But now her swarm was dying. Her generals reported strange weapons, enemies that did not bleed, did not fear, did not stop. The Varnak were hunters. But this time, they had become prey. They had no name for these enemies, only a feeling. Cold. The humans were cold, like machines with beating hearts. The Queen ordered a full retreat. The swarm ships began to leave orbit, heading for deep space. But the human ships followed. Zorthari people stood outside their ruined cities and watched the stars. They saw bright lights in the sky, chases, battles, flashes of war. They knew it was not over. The Varnak were running, but the humans were not letting them go. For the first time, someone was chasing the monsters that had hunted the galaxy. And the ones doing the chasing were even more terrifying. In the days that followed, stories spread. Children whispered about the cold ones who walked through fire. Soldiers told tales of black-armored ghosts who could smell the swarm from miles away. Pilots spoke of Earth ships that vanished from radar and reappeared behind enemy lines. The humans had not just returned, they had changed, improved, evolved. One Zorthari commander asked an elder, "What will happen after they win?" The elder shook his head. "That is the wrong question." The commander frowned. "Then what is the right one?" The elder looked to the sky. "What will they do next?" Because now the whole galaxy would learn the truth. The Deathworlders were not extinct. They were not hiding. They were simply waiting for someone to call for help. And when they came, help looked like fire. The black sky of Zorthar lit up again, but this time it was not because of destruction. It was the beginning of Earth's first real strike. The Deathworlders had waited long enough. Now it was their turn to act. In orbit, Earth's ships moved with perfect timing. Not one movement was wasted, not 1 second lost. Deep inside the main human warship, Commander Reyes gave the final order. His voice was calm. "Phase 1, begin." And just like that, everything changed. Dozens of stealth ships dropped from orbit like shadows. They didn't use loud engines or flashing weapons. They were silent, invisible to most scanners. Each one carried a small team of elite soldiers. Their goal was clear: hit the Varnak in their strongest places and hit them hard. These were not rescue teams. These were hunters. The first strike happened at midnight, Zorthar time. A massive Varnak fortress on the northern ice plains exploded from within. No warning, no alarms, just a sudden flash followed by complete silence. Hours later, Zorthari drones showed only black ash where the fortress used to be. No survivors. The humans left no message, no claim, no signature. The only clue was a simple mark burned into the ground, a red circle with a black line through it. The old human war symbol. The galaxy had forgotten it, but now it was back. At the same time, another team struck in the eastern mountain ranges. There, the Varnak had built a hive city inside the rocks. For weeks, they had used it to launch attacks on nearby towns. Now, it was gone. Witnesses said they saw black figures falling from the sky, moving faster than wind, cutting through the swarm like blades through paper. One Varnak flyer tried to escape. It got 5 kilometers before it exploded mid-air. The humans had marked everything. Nothing escaped their eyes. In the south, Zorthari scouts found something even more shocking. Not only had the humans attacked, they had captured a live Varnak war leader, something no other race had done before. The creature, strong and dangerous, had been wrapped in special energy chains. Its mouth was sealed. Its body was marked with small glowing needles. The Zorthari tried to speak with the humans who captured it. The answer they got was short. For study, for war. The humans were not only killing the swarm, they were learning how to kill them better. Inside the Zorthari council chambers, arguments broke out. Some members were thankful, others were scared. "We called them for help," one counselor shouted, "but we did not invite a second army to take over our world." Elder Saron spoke slowly. "They are not here to rule. They are here for one reason: destruction of the swarm. But once that's done, I do not know what they will do." Council leader Mael stood up. "Then we must speak to them now, before it's too late." "But how do you speak to those who never reply?" Meanwhile, inside Earth's command ship, the captured Varnak war leader was being studied, not with cruelty, but with cold, silent purpose. Machines scanned every inch of its body. Humans in lab armor spoke in short phrases, recording data. Heart, triple chamber, weak spot, lower joint, nerve center, exposed under shell. They were building knowledge, planning faster, sharper ways to destroy the swarm. Reyes watched the process from a glass room above. Captain Mira turned to him. "We've hit 6 major targets, losses 0. Reyes didn't smile. "Expected." She hesitated. "They're afraid of us." He finally looked at her. "They should be." On the battlefield, the Varnak began to fall back again. But this time, the humans did not allow escape. They followed. Quiet, quick, deadly. One team known as Ghost Squad was seen walking through fire with no armor damage. They used weapons no Zorthari had ever seen, thin, blades that cut through energy shields, guns that fired without sound. Some believed the weapons were alive. But the most terrifying thing was their silence. They never shouted, never laughed, never showed anger or joy. Only focus, only war. Zorthari soldiers tried to help in some areas, but the humans waved them back. "Stay out of range," they said. "Your safety matters. Ours doesn't." That single sentence spread across the cities like lightning. Your safety matters. Ours doesn't. Were they protecting the Zorthari, or were they simply that confident? Either way, the people began to see them differently, not just as killers, but as something more, something sharp and cold, but necessary. That night, a new message appeared across the Zorthari defense network. No one knew how the humans accessed it, but it was there, on every screen, every device. The message was short. Strike complete. Phase 2 begins in 48 hours. Prepare. No name, no voice, just the cold promise of action. And far away in deep space, the Varnak queen screamed again. Her nests were falling, her armies dying. She had never known fear, but now she felt it, because something old had awakened, something angry, something human. The stars above Zorthar were quiet, but deep in orbit, the humans were preparing for something new. The first strikes had been fast, silent, and deadly, but now Phase 2 was about to begin. This time, The humans were not just going to fight. They were going to bring something. Something no one in the galaxy had seen before. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge of the main Earth warship, eyes locked on the map of the enemy. "It's time," he said calmly. "Deploy the assets." Captain Mira didn't ask questions. She turned to the command board and typed in a single code. D07 Waking. Across the black ships orbiting Zorthar, special bays opened. Heavy locks hissed open, and the cold ones began to fall. On the ground, Zorthari soldiers looked up and saw strange shapes dropping from the sky. Not ships, not bombs, something else. When the smoke cleared, they saw tall black figures walking through the dust, bigger than the human soldiers, slower, but far more terrifying. Machines, but not ordinary machines. These were biomechs, half-living, half-metal creatures built by humans long ago for only one purpose: planet-clearing war. Their armor was thick like mountain stone. Their eyes glowed blue. Each of them carried a weapon the size of a small ship. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. With every step, the ground shook. These were not soldiers. These were walking judgments. The Varnak didn't wait. They attacked immediately. Hundreds of them swarmed the first biomech. They climbed on its legs, bit its arms, fired plasma into its chest. But it didn't stop. It simply grabbed the largest Varnak with one arm and crushed it like paper. Then, it activated its core weapon. A pulse of energy flashed out in a perfect circle, silent, smooth, and final. Every Varnak within 50 meters dropped dead. No blood, no screams, just silence. The biomech stepped forward, leaving only ash behind. The Zorthari soldiers who saw it couldn't speak. One of them whispered, "The Deathworlders didn't come alone." That phrase spread fast. It became a warning, a legend, a truth. They brought monsters with them. But the truth was worse than that. The monsters weren't wild. They were controlled, programmed, guided by cold human minds who knew exactly where to send them, when to strike, and when to vanish. The humans had learned from every war, every failure, every loss. And they had built these biomechs in silence, waiting for the day they would need them again. The Zorthari Council finally sent a direct message to the human command ship. Elder Saren spoke in a steady voice. "We wish to talk, not to stop you, but to understand." For a full minute, there was no answer. Then, for the first time, a human voice came through the council screen. It was deep, calm, mechanical. "You already understand," it said. "We are what comes after fear." The message ended. Meanwhile, in the south, a massive Varnak war nest rose from the sea. It was their last chance to take back the planet. Thousands of swarm beasts flew into the sky, roaring, ready to strike the cities. The Zorthari air defense teams prepared for the worst, but they didn't fire. They didn't have to. The humans were already there. From the clouds came the black wings, stealth fighters that didn't look like ships, but like sharp shadows. And following them were the biomechs, flying with booster packs, landing like falling gods. The Varnak charged with everything they had. And it wasn't enough. Human machines tore through them. The swarm that had destroyed dozens of worlds was being wiped out in one night. The people of Zorthar stood on rooftops and hills, watching the sky burn with war. And this time, they were not afraid of the flames. They were afraid of what stood inside the flames. The Deathworlders, calm and cold, walking through chaos like they owned it. Some whispered prayers. Others stood in silence. A child asked her mother, "Will they leave when the bad things are gone?" The mother did not answer, because no one knew. Inside the Earth command ship, Captain Mira finally spoke. "Why did we bring the biomechs? The swarm is almost done." Commander Reyes stared at the screen. Because this is not the end. It's the start. We are not just sending a message to the Varnak. We are reminding the galaxy who we are. Mira frowned. And if the galaxy doesn't like the reminder? Reyes looked at her, his voice cold. They sent the signal. We just answered it. Back on the battlefield, the last Varnak war beast tried to flee. It didn't make it far. A biomech stepped in its path and lifted its weapon. The creature froze, sensing the end. The biomech looked down, paused, then fired a single shot. One hit, one kill. The swarm had fallen, but the humans didn't stop moving because they had something else with them too, something not yet revealed. And soon, the galaxy would learn that the Deathworlders never came with just weapons. They came with plans. The war was almost over. Across Zorthar, the swarm was broken, their nests burned, their queens silenced. The people thought the danger had passed, but the humans, they were still watching the sky, still searching, still silent. Something was wrong. Something they hadn't told anyone. In the main Earth warship, Commander Reyes stood alone in the data chamber. Around him, screens flickered with strange symbols, unknown patterns, and red pulses. Behind all of it was the same signal. The signal that started everything. The one that brought the humans back. But now they knew. It wasn't just a call for help. It was a trap. Or worse, a warning from the future. 2 weeks earlier, when Earth's deep space array first caught the signal, it didn't look like anything special. A normal distress call. Weak, broken, repeating over and over from the edge of Varnak territory. But someone on the human science team ran a deeper scan, and what they found shocked everyone. The signal had 2 layers. The first one was the distress call. The second layer was encrypted, old tech, human code, from Earth, but from over 300 years ago. That was impossible. Earth hadn't sent anything that far. Not back then, not with that message. And yet, there it was, hidden under alien sound waves. The decrypted words were short, cold, and terrifying. We were wrong. It's not the swarm. It's what's behind them. Stop the spread. No contact. No peace. Burn everything. That was it. No sender name, no time stamp, no coordinates, just a warning. And it was signed with an old Earth military code, Black Star Zero, a name only used for threats beyond war. Reyes knew that if the signal was real, then the Varnak weren't the true enemy. They were just tools, controlled by something smarter, something older, something still hiding. That's why he launched the full assault. That's why he deployed the biomechs. Because he wasn't just fighting to save Zorthar. He was trying to erase whatever this hidden danger was before it spread to other worlds. Now, as he stood in the chamber, the decoded signal played again. Slow, cold, final. Burn everything. Captain Mira entered quietly. Another message? Reyes nodded. Same one. No change. She looked at the strange symbols on the screens. It's not just a warning, is it? Reyes turned to her. It's a message from ourselves. From a time that no longer exists. Someone in our future or past tried to stop this. Mira frowned. But what is this? Reyes stared at the screen. We don't know yet, but it's still out there. Meanwhile, on Zorthar, human scouts discovered something buried deep beneath one of the old Varnak hives, a large black sphere humming with power. It wasn't Varnak tech. It wasn't human either. The material didn't match any known element. It gave off no heat, no sound. But when a human soldier touched it, the sphere pulsed, and the signal grew stronger. The humans quickly sealed the site and locked it down. No one was allowed near it. Not even the Zorthari Council. When Elder Saren demanded to know what they had found, the only reply was, Classified. Dangerous. The people of Zorthar began to whisper. The war was over. Why were the humans still acting like it wasn't? Why were they afraid of a strange object that didn't move, didn't speak? Rumors spread. Some said the humans had found a new enemy. Others believed it was a weapon from Earth's own future. A few feared it was alive. Inside the command ship, Earth's top scientists ran simulations. Every test showed the same result. The sphere was sending signals into deep space, but not to the swarm, to something else. Something that hadn't answered yet. Mira asked the question no one wanted to say out loud. Did we just wake it up? Reyes gave no answer. Instead, he gave a new order. Prepare orbital strike. If it activates, we don't. Wait. But just as the order went through, the sphere pulsed again. This time the signal was different. It was not a message. It was an image, a star map, unknown sectors. And in the center, a black sun. No light, no gravity, just a hole in space. The humans had never seen it before. But now it had a name, marked, in the signal's human code, Origin Point. Reyes stared at the map. It's not finished. It's just beginning. Mira nodded slowly. What do we do? He didn't hesitate. We go there, before it comes here. Far above Zorthar, the biomechs began to power down. The humans were preparing to leave. But not because they had won, because the real war hadn't started yet. And somewhere out, in the dark, the true enemy was waiting, watching, learning. The Zorthari people watched the black ships rise into the sky once more. A child asked, "Are the cold ones going home now?" Her father looked up. "No," he said. "They're going hunting." The stars were quiet again, but the silence was not peace. It was waiting. The black ships of Earth had left Zorthar's orbit. The swarm was gone, the city saved, and the Deathworlders had done what no other species could. But they did not celebrate. They did not stay. They moved toward the dark part of the galaxy, the part where no signals came from, no lights returned, and no races dared to explore. It was the place marked in the signal. The origin point. The place of the black sun. The place where fear was born. Commander Reyes stood in the warship's command center, eyes locked on the slowly forming map. Around him, a dozen captains watched, silently. The path ahead was uncertain, but there was no turning back. "What waits for us there?" Captain Mira asked. Reyes answered simply, "Whatever made the swarm, whatever sent the signal, whatever feared us enough to hide." His voice was calm, cold, but beneath it was something deeper, rage. Not wild, not loud, a quiet rage, the kind that lives in Deathworlders, the kind that grows when danger touches Earth or dares to play with time. As the fleet crossed the border of the known galaxy, strange things began to happen. The stars faded, instruments failed. Time moved slower or faster, no one could say. The ships passed through a region where reality felt wrong. Shadows moved where there was no light. Voices echoed in the minds of the crew. Some said they heard, whispers in languages never spoken. Others saw flashes of future memories, cities burning, Earth drowning, or children born with black eyes. And through all of it, the signal grew stronger. Then, finally, they saw it. The black sun. Not a real sun, not a star. Just a hole in space, pulling in everything, giving nothing back. Around it, ancient structures floated, dead machines the size of moons. They were broken, hollow, burned from the inside. Something had killed them. And inside the blackness, something moved. Not light, not matter. A presence, watching. The human fleet stopped at the edge. Biomechs powered up, weapons charged. Reyes stood at the front window of the flagship. "Send the message," he said. Mira tapped a button, and the same signal that had started it all was fired back, this time toward the black sun. For 1 minute, there was silence. Then, it answered. The stars around them turned red. The old machines near the black sun began to twist, turning toward the human fleet. One by one, they lit up. Ancient eyes, but not friendly. The presence had awakened. It spoke not in words, but in pressure, in weight, in raw terror. The crew felt it in their bones. The fear was not normal. It was not natural. It was designed. A weapon of the mind. But the humans did not break. They stood tall, because fear is what made them stronger. The oldest thing in the galaxy had opened its eyes and saw something it did not expect. It had destroyed stars, ended civilizations, turned gods into dust. But it had never met a species that came toward it. It had never met a people who heard its signal and followed it back. The presence reached into the minds of the humans. It tried to break them, to show them pain. It showed Earth burning, oceans black, families screaming. It showed death. But inside every mind it found the same thing, resistance, not hope, not love, something worse. Purpose. Commander Reyes spoke, his voice echoing through the ship. "We are not here to stop you. We are not here to run. We are here to burn you down, because you looked at our world, and you blinked." Behind him, the Earth fleet opened fire, not to destroy, to announce. The fight that followed was not like any war before. It was a war of minds, of will, of code, time, and thought. The black. Machines moved with impossible speed, but the biomechs held the line. Human AI systems locked onto ancient targets, breaking encryption millions of years old. One by one, the dark towers fell. The black sun pulsed in rage, but it was too late. The Deathworlders had seen it, and now they knew what to kill. At the heart of the black sun, a final shape rose, a being of shadow, tall as a mountain, made of thoughts, memory, and fear. It reached toward the humans, and a single human girl, only 17, a signal tech, looked right at it and said, "You're not scary, you're just loud." And the thing hesitated. It had ruled the shadows for eons. It had never been challenged. But now it saw them. The Deathworlders. Creatures of soft skin, short lives, and broken histories. And yet they were coming, with fire, with machines, with purpose. And the darkness, ancient and cold, realized the worst truth of all. It feared them, because only humans look into the abyss and step forward.